This is New Eden FM, presented by the Data Break Network. This
Mother's Day to all the mothers out there. Welcome to New Eden FM. We have the music and the news to enhance your Sunday. I'm Alondria of the Galaxy, and we are live in game in the NANI system at the Potike Pharmaceuticals Biohazard Containment Facility around Moon 18 of 95. Not to be confused with the facility at Moon 2 of 97, because there's a lot of toxic crap in the NANI system. And we're here checking on the results of a highly radioactive material recently found in stain, and have been having it analyzed. It's some sort of molting, and it looks like some sort of bizarre cross between a crab and a hippo. It might be that we found the site of where the great energies that caused the crabs to transform into hippos was focused before spreading out to the rest of New Eden. And if so, it is a discovery of great historical importance. Then again, it could be something entirely different. That's why we bring these things to the eggheads. Well, now, here in the studio with us today, we have Lutara Tassador. How are you doing today?
Yo, what up? It's been a bit. I know.
It has been. It has been. It's been a little bit of Latara 404, Tara not found. It has been.
Stealing my jokes from before the show. How very dare you?
Oh, I know, right? But what can I say? When I hear quality material, I just gotta fling it out there, right?
At least credit me first.
Hey, you credited it yourself. How can I do any better than you crediting yourself right now? Right, and also in the studio we have with us Rose. Good to have you on the show again as well.
Hello, good to be here. Thanks for having me.
All right, you doing all right today over there in the pasture?
Oh yeah, the place is doing well. We're keeping on the ground.
Right. We also have our producer and Maestra Mackenzie in the house. How you doing?
Yeah, I am good. You know how I do Sundays, right? Live here from the Data Break Studios, where we keep everything actually running, because I suppose that if this stuff isn't running, we're not on the air. It's a weird thing about those crabs, though. I don't know.
I know the
That's weird.
transfiguration or whatever we're calling it these days of crab to hippo is just the talk of all of New
I
Eden.
forgot which game it was that came up with the with coined the term transmorgification. I think it was World of Warcraft.
I think so. But it's in my lexicon
Transmorgification.
for some reason. So,
Jeez, I'm pretty sure I just committed copyright infringement with that one.
well, that's all right. I won't tell anybody if you don't.
Yeah, of course,
All right,
because
we
that's
also
how it
have
works.
That's how it works. That's right. We also have Immortal Rage in the house, a special guest on today's show. How are you doing, Immortals?
Doing great, Laundry. I'm doing great. Wonderful, actually. Happy Mother's Day to all the Mother's Days out there.
Right. Glad to hear it. And I tell you what, we've got a great show for you today with some ups and downs, some twists and turns between some sort of weird high-sec carrier we're now saddled with to new ships nobody asked for. We've got a new pirate organization that has declared itself the scourge of all New Eden, and we've got a twist and turn of how NetEase treats its contest winners. We've just got an action-packed show for you today.
Yeah, and as always, we have the tunes for you. Wait, what? Yeah, I saw that. I saw that GIF. I vomited a little in my mouth just now.
I know. This is. Oh my gosh.
I lost my train of thought with that one.
Absolutely.
Jeez.
I lost. Yeah, I lost it too.
Live image of a CTA. All right, so while we work this one out, jeez, that was a poor choice of words.
Oh my.
For you on today's show, we have a mix of
This is your weekly update on all things with Echoes and in online. New Eden News.
Welcome back to New Eden News. All right, well, let's take a look here. We do have some patch notes in the Q&A, so let's go over these patch notes and see what they did here on the 10th. Now, we do have a new event that is Project Pirate that's going to be going on from the 10th until the 31st of May. It's the one where they reduce the broker's fee and transaction tax at GNMR trading centers. They put up more Plex sell orders, and item buy orders are generated when capsuleers are claiming insurance, and you have that boosted planetary production rate at 50%, so make sure to check your planetary a little bit more often. And of course they did the optimizations with the valuation update based on market transaction records, but is it really ever update properly? I really don't think it does, but they try. They really do try. Now, we also have a Q&A here. Now, it's a large one that we have this week. It's actually pretty exciting that we've got so many questions. So, let's see if we get anything like what we ended up with discussing later. Oh, crazy stuff. All right, let's see here. This is the developer Q&A from April 25th to May 8th, so that's why there's so many. They did a double Q&A. First question: in the future, with the introductions of extra buildings, will you be putting those BP in the Corp class or in Co-Concord paths? Since previous updates, we have gotten something similar to get more players to interact with. Their answer was, thank you for your interest in the game, but currently we do not have plans to do so.
Thank you for your interest in getting us more players to interact with, but no.
Just no. No. Interaction, no.
Wow.
I know, right? Alright, let's see if the next question's any better. Say, now interdictors, especially destroyers, are heavily abused by roamers as they can pal the bubbles up to extend its range with little to no cooldown or number limit, and they can freely warp in, launch the sphere, and warp out instantly to save point a few hundred kilometers away, and then warp in to launch another one in front of the target ship and keep it sink in the bubbles and get sniped by their long-range attackers outside of the bubbles. I suggest limits to interdiction sphere number can be launched activated an area to one at a time, like how you cannot jettison items when there are too many Rex boxes nearby. You cannot launch more interdiction sphere or activate disruption field generator when there is already one launched activated, and make interdiction modules have temporary ship disabling side effect the same way as suicidal field generator to reduce interdictors' outrageous mobility. Just want to say before I read the answer, this dude is salty.
Yeah, I mean, I was wondering when you were going to take a break there. You got killed by one too many pictures in no sec.
Oh, no, right.
That question reads to me that the original poster is salty that someone killed them with good tactics.
Exactly. That's why I
Exactly.
said the salt is palatable. Okay, let's see how NetEase responds to the salt. They say limiting the number of interdictions here wouldn't necessarily solve this problem. We will continue to observe the performance of interdictors in battles and analyze their impact. If necessary, we will make appropriate balance adjustments. Thank you for your feedback.
In other words, get good, noob.
Yeah, pretty much. I have to say that pretty much sums that one up. All right. Let's see here. The next question. What will fill empty slots of newly updated Concord Pass, or will they ever be filled with something? My suggestion is an AI nanocore upmade material box, tier 4 ones. Right now they are quite hard to get. Okay. I think we know where this answer is going to end up before we even read it, but let's read it anyway. We currently have no plans to fill these empty slots with AI nanocore up materials, but players can get them in the Concord Pass store. In other words,
The thing is,
those empty spots are for people who have not paid them money for the pass. They have no interest in actually putting something in those spots.
nah. But if you actually look at the rewards in comparison to previous Concord passes, the free pass rewards are exactly the same as they were. What the empty slots are is a marketing tool. That's all. They want people to buy the Concord pass, so they're making it look like you need to buy the pass to get more, where you're actually getting the same rewards for the free pass.
That's why they have no interest in filling those slots. Like you said, there's a purpose to it.
People aren't realizing that, like, you're not actually losing out if you're not paying the Concord pass. Like, if you were still always just completing the free pass, you are getting the same rewards that you were before.
But psychologically speaking, oh my gosh, that's a level I'm not getting anything for because I didn't pay the money. That's a psychological thing.
Oh yeah. It's a marketing tactic, and I'd argue that it is a kind of toxic one, but I mean, that's commonplace in the world, right?
Yeah, so, marketing tricks.
Yeah.
All right, the next question is actually in Russian. I will read the translation because my Russian is just no good. Will new types of ships be added, such as the minefield setter? It would be very cool, this new content, to ambush or defend your system. Okay, they say this suggestion is very interesting, but we need to consider the overall impact on the combat environment before deciding whether to design such a ship. Is there a minefield setter in EO?
A minefield setter? I mean, you can, there are like little structures that you can place, that generate warp scram bubbles and things like that, but, I mean, what they're asking for, no, not really.
Yeah, I didn't think so, but within translations, maybe they meant something else or something like that. I didn't know of anything that it's even like that.
It would make for an interesting, an interesting tactic, I guess, if you really wanted to defend something. You just spread those things out right before a citadel defense, and it makes it more difficult to siege the damn thing. But how much damage would something like that really do? I mean, all the work would go into preparing it, not into actually, I guess, fighting and playing intelligently. I mean, even with bomb launchers, you still have to be intelligent about how you deploy bombs in EVE Online. You can't just drop them, because if you launch a bomb too close in EVE Online and you're within blast radius, it will kill you. So the mines would have to be... They would have to be a double-edged sword. It'd have to kill you if you stepped on one yourself.
Yeah, can you imagine fleets getting wiped by minefields they place themselves? Yeah, that would be a thing.
I think it would be quite hilarious. Waiting for the first video of that one.
Oh yes, and the Reddit post. Oh god, the Reddit post would be hilarious on the first time that happened. Alright, let's move on to the last set of questions here. That with the seemingly ever-increasing damage potential of ships, can we look forward to a survivability update? I would love to see something to overall ship damage application or the defensive options we have available and bring them into a closer state. Okay? They say improving defense and other attributes is similar. It can be accomplished through upgrading skills, modules, nanocores, etc. In other words, you got all of the defensive things you need in the game right now. I don't know. Some of the things are a little bit broken.
I mean, you just gotta look at some of the implants and their DPS potential, especially combining with gold nanocores now. And
yeah, but I see what they're saying. There's no real parallel to the survivability for the crazy stuff you can do with like an APOC striker.
not even just APOC. I mean, you look at some of the crazy DPS that bombers are able to put out these days. I think I've seen a few screenshots of bombers hitting 3,000 plus.
Yeah,
that's insane on a frigate.
That really is, and those are really easy to put together and really easy to deploy. They're fast, they're mobile, and hard to catch.
I mean, if you look at the gold nanos and having something like the thermomagnetic storm nanocores, upgrade it, you get a 22% buff to one of your damage types, and then an 18% buff to your overall DPS. And then you combine that with something like Focus Crystal or High Power Coil, and your DPS numbers are ridiculous. I mean, I've got a Megatron Striker that's currently doing, I think, 11,000 DPS with only 2 mag stabs active.
That's crazy.
Yeah, and I've got plenty of room to grow that.
Yeah, and I think the questioner's point is that that's some crazy DPS that you can get, but what can you do? Because NetEase is basically saying in their answer that by upgrading skills, modules, nanocores, and stuff like that you can upgrade survivability to be comparable. I don't think you can.
Realistically, I think you can, but only on a select couple of ships. I'm talking like Abaddon, Rogue, Nightmare, Rattlesnake. That's it.
The ones that have the natural defense bonuses already built into them, because other than that, you're screwed.
Yeah, because I and the thing is, those ships with natural resistance bonuses, and if you integrate them fully and fit them well, like tank, you might be able to survive for a bit longer, but I do actually think you're still going to die.
Yeah.
It's kind of ridiculous. At the minute, it's the DPS creep is so much, like, more than tank, to the point of it's just hard to actually tank versus someone who's either invested the time or money into a fully upgraded nano. I'm talking gold nano with a good implant. Again, talking 30 to 45 leveled, and you're just gonna get minced by someone like that, regardless of how thick you think your tank is.
Yeah, that's rough to survive by any measure of the word.
I mean,
all right, let's.
I would say what it really does is it kind of it's taking away a bit from like the ability to like solo around in a battleship, because 9 times out of 10 you are going to get tackled, and all you need is someone to go, oh well, they're in a Megatron, so I'm just going to bring this one very high DPS APOC striker, Mega Striker, and just drop on them at 0 and melt them before they have a chance to do anything. It's hard, but it's the game we're playing, so
that it is. Well, let's see what the last question is here. The intelligent nanocore shuts off too soon when it can't find any more encounters due to the 30-minute encounter refresh limit. Sometimes I'll start it up expecting it to run for 8 hours, but when I check back later, I find it stopped after only 1 to 3 hours. Please either make it so that the intelligent nanocore waits longer before shutting off, or that the encounter refresh limit is lowered to about 15 minutes. It sounds like Care Bear problems. Okay, let's see what the answer is. We are currently We currently have no plans to make adjustments in this regard. Players can try changing their filtering conditions, such as not limiting to local encounters only. Okay.
What?
I don't understand that answer either.
Basically, what they're saying is, so the intelligent nanocore, you can limit it to how many. So, I start my gold nanocore in Vita, and I say that I'm willing to accept missions within 10 jumps. It will always accept missions within 10 jumps. What I think the dev has interpreted this as is it's someone who's sitting in a high-sec island who's limited their system to their nanocore to only look within 0 jumps, and basically, yes, that will reduce the amount of missions you accept, unless you're in one of the high-sec islands, obviously, and even then you can run out of missions. What it is that it sounds to me like this is someone who literally doesn't want to have to move their battleship around. And the thing is, the intelligent nanocore, yes, you will make less ISK per hour if you are jumping around, but even putting it in a system that's going to have missions spawn within a radius of like 5 jumps, I mean, you're still going to make basically free ISK if you're barely paying attention to your ship.
Yeah.
It's something like, I don't see it as an issue right now with the AI nanocore. The biggest issue really with it is I have 2 gold nanos with AI activated, and 9 times out of 10 I still have to babysit them because my rather blingy Balgorn and Vindicator are trying to commit suicide by rat because the AI nanocore doesn't want to run the rep the whole time. That I think is the biggest issue with them.
That is definitely a problem.
It just means I have to babysit them.
Yeah. Well, speaking of care bearing, the new patch is actually going to be putting in something that I think is going to make this whole people spending a lot of time just not really moving and everything even worse, because now we're getting a new carrier.
So, the fact it can fly in high sec, I actually don't see as that impactful for the Care Bear in high sec. Because Apoc Strikers are already capping in a reasonable amount of time the amount of anoms you can actually run. What it may open up is people running the T10 missions in them. Because it's got a high warp speed, it's pretty tanky from the looks of it. But again, that's not actually high sec content, that's low sec content. So it actually might promote more caps to be seen in low sec. Again, it's a what if maybe and.
Well, I can imagine people parking these things in the high sec islands and instead of eliminating 0 jumps, go ahead and accepting those lucrative low sec missions right off the jump, and at least until they figure out that the hunters will catch onto this real quick, and a few of them get popped.
See, like high sec islands, like they're high sec, right? But the thing is, Apoc Strikers, Macarials, Vindicators, Balgorns are already, when fit right, capping the limit of what you can actually earn. So it's not, people aren't going to be interested in this carrier Isaac Islands. That I actually think it might be something that the PvPers latch onto a little bit, because if you're staging your caps in low sec, biggest pain in moving them is having to skirt around low sec. Well, now you can just AP avoid 0-0 in your carrier through high sec.
I mean, kind of, but you gotta imagine that that a carrier that's designed for high sec is not gonna be even as good as a standard carrier. You know what I mean? Like,
We hope.
It'd still be a capital asset that you can maneuver around the map so much easier than any other carrier.
Yeah, that's very true.
And I can't see it being that much worse because it's still going to be a T10 ship. It's still going to be a capital asset, and we know NetEase's opinion is bigger, better. So I cannot see this being I can't see it maybe being significantly better than, say, your Nidhoggers and Archons, etc., etc. But I also can't see it being significantly worse, because no one will want it, and NetEase will want to see their new ship in space, because it's a completely new to NetEase design.
I really just think it's more, even though I agree, there's PvP application, I just see it as more of a way for them to try to, milk a little bit of money out of Care Bears that are afraid to go into nullsec or lowsec to earn a capital ship.
But the thing is, a lot of these Care Bears who are wanting to make money in highsec are just sitting in highsec islands in an APOC striker, and they're already capping. They're already doing more than they can do in a capital, so they don't need a carrier, so they won't buy a carrier.
They'll most likely also introduce some kind of prop only encounter or something that earns you more ISK or something like that. Like, it wouldn't surprise me if they make it worth it in a sense.
That's what I was thinking as well.
High-sec capital anonymously.
I mean,
it would be kind of awesome to have high-sec and low-sec capital anomalies.
I mean, I think that it would really game balance went out the window like last year, right? So it doesn't even fucking matter. It doesn't matter. That's taboo. Why even talk about it?
The thing is, though, with if you have capital high-sec anoms and then low-sec anoms, and then obviously you've got the null-sec anoms, honestly, I could see it being that, yes, you can probably make a decent living just doing high-sec, purely high-sec ones, but if you start looking at the low-sec and null-sec ones, they should, and I can't see why they wouldn't, be more risk, more reward. So
yeah,
sure, you might be able to double what you're able to do now in an APOC striker and a carrier if there's high-sec capital.
I think that would be, pretty good. I just would like to hope that it's not completely and entirely, just broken. Like, I mean, we've gotten to a point where literally you have the option of swiping your credit card, and you don't even have to play the game anymore. Like, you don't have to play the game. The game can play itself for you if you want.
Yeah.
I mean, what kind of EVE experience are we really creating at this point, right?
Not a very good one.
Yeah, I mean, AI nanocores got its pluses, got its minuses.
Yeah.
I utilize 2. I have 2. I run them in Highsec Island. I cannot or do not want to pay that much attention. Could I still do it manually? Yeah, and I could still sit and do it manually, watching for Netflix, YouTube, chilling out, getting some corp work done. But the AI nanocore just allows me to actually do that without actually paying too much attention. Like I said earlier, I have to keep one eye on it every now and again because AI likes to try and commit suicide by rat. But I do not see them as being that much of a hindrance.
Well, the thing about it is EVE is not designed to be an idle game. I mean, this is becoming more and more like the mobile game Idle Heroes, where your ships, or with that game, your heroes go off to do things while you're offline. And in this case, you don't have to be paying attention. Your ship will go off and do something. That's to me, that's just not EVE.
The thing is, as well, it's in. Most people are utilizing this in high-sec. You couldn't go after them anyway. And the people that are using them in low-sec and null-sec will die to hunters because they cannot pay attention. If they're not paying attention to the device and they're just letting it run in null-sec, there's every chance that you'll run out of your 8 hours and your
There's
ship's
no way
now
they
floating
won't
in
die.
space. They are going to die.
They will die.
I caught a guy in lowsec who was just running lowsec missions off a gold nano core. Like, and the guy literally came back when he was at 1/3 hull.
Jeez, man, that sounds like a bad day. That sounds like a really bad day. But I mean,
Yeah.
I guess that the only thing that I would even be concerned about is the fact that EVE has always been a game of risk versus reward, right? And if the value of high sec eventually gets to a point where it's more valuable than null sec or at the same value as null sec, what is the point of null sec even existing in the game anymore? You know,
Well,
I mean,
that's the thing. That's that they keep on pushing people more and more towards AFK content and high sec and low sec. It's not Eve. Part of Eve is the whole flying around and doing things in null sec. Eve is very much null sec oriented. That's where the riches are. That's where the richest rewards are supposed to be. But now it just seems like they're making everything available with little to no effort and no need to really do null sec anymore.
So I'll give you a comparison from the last sort of couple of weeks. I left Burr, so I have not had a home. I have been floating around in low sec, high sec, and sort of unoccupied regions of space. So I spent a lot of time living up in Fade, things like that. So if I'm sitting in a high sec island, I on average make 200 mil to 400 mil, and that's pretty much exclusively in bounty ticks. And that's per account. I'm running 2 accounts concurrently, so I can make just shy of a bill if I spend 4 or 5 hours sitting in a high sec island grinding. I would sometimes spend 2 hours, 3 hours living out of an NPC station in nullsec in Fade, for example. And with the right setup, I was earning between 1 and 4 billion hours, 3 hours work. So I would say the risk reward balance is still in this game.
That's good to know.
Most people want to sit in one place. You want to be in your home system because it's the safest, and you just want to sit in that one system and grind and grind and grind, and maybe spawn in a special anom, and maybe get an FRP, this, that, and the other. But what I was doing is I had my 4 characters in the same NPC station, and one set up to scan, two are heavy DPS, one's light DPS. So I'd go literally the whole region. I'd find all the data sites. I'd find all the NDS sites, all the Inquisitors, and I was pulling in between 1 and 3 billion easy a day. And this is in hostile space where everything's neutral to me. Whereas if I did the same in high sec, it's much lower, much lower. And if I did the same in one system, yet my income would be a little higher because it'd be a null sec system. My chances of making a good amount of income much lower. I'd make more than I'd make in high sec, but I also wouldn't make as much as if I'm doing something a little bit more risky and literally flying my 2 T10 battleships from special site to special site to special site.
Well, it sounds like balance is at least being maintained to a good extent, which I think that has been the most, the most hypercritical part of what has been happening to the game for the last, I want to say, year and a half. It's been a constant. What about balance, right? And a lot of these Q&A questions are about, what about balance? As long as there is still a quality of life standard for high sec players and a quality of life status for null sec players. I think that at least from an economical standpoint, my goodness, I can't even say it economical. And the reason why is because industry is still so bad. But at least from that standard, it's it's fine, I guess, right? As far as the carriers are concerned, I don't know, man.
To be honest, I feel that this has always been the case, where a pilot willing to travel, and I'm not even saying just like to travel to another region or the other side of the map, a pilot willing to travel will always make more ISK than a pilot who wants to stay in one spot.
Well, it gives you more options to make it.
Except
but
unless you're an
issue being
explorer. Unless you're an explorer. I'm sorry, those guys are dirt poor.
Yeah. Oh gosh, exploration is horrible in this game.
I'll tell you, like, I'd go scanning, I'd get 8-9 sites per region. Like, and I'd make a reasonable bit as well, ships. But I mean, if we talk over them briefly, I mean, we'll start with the battleships themselves. So it's all the Navy issues. So Tempest, APOC, Megathron, and I've missed one. Even they're all getting fleet issue variants. And if you look at the web page that these details have been posted on, they're going to be upgraded strikers. So think of them as striker 2s almost.
Drop that
yeah,
in Sound OS. I've dropped it in Sound OS for you.
So they are they are making
load.
those better than the strikers are, essentially. Like they're an upgrade to the strikers.
It depends on a few things. So let me just open this now. So read a little bit from the blurb. These battleships are upgraded versions of their striker predecessor with a specific focus on improving fire control. Modification provides significantly improved weapon power and moderately enhanced sensor strength and locking speed. However, overloading the fire control system could result in a decrease in the reload system efficiency, leading to increased cooldown times for the primary weapon. So it sounds like that these Navy issues are going to have a special mode where it's going to significantly up your DPS, up your sensor strength, and have a potential to drop your cycle time. So it's going to depend on
cooldown. It sounds like.
Yeah. So maybe the special mode will only be active for a certain amount of time, and then it drops, and then you have to try and survive the cooldown. It'd be very similar to the way that thermal circulation implant works for railguns. If you overheat it, like basically get it to 100, your cycle time drops. Like I've had a Mega Striker with a DPS of about 3,500 cold. Drop to a DPS of less than 1,000 because I overheated the implant.
Right. I mean, it sounds a lot like what they're trying to do is basically walk back on how badly strikers really missed the mark. They were supposed to be Eve Echoes versions of Marauders, for those of you that don't play Eve Online. Basically battleships that have something called a Bastion module, which function in the same way as your striker mode. And in EO, those Bastion modules do in fact have a cooldown imposed on them. Same thing with Dread Siege mode.
I believe they also up your tank as well.
Yeah, they do. So it's really kind of, it just feels really weird how they're trying to, it feels just as weird as when they called faction carriers motherships, when we all know that super carriers.
No, they call them versatile attack ships.
Yeah, they call them motherships, which was the weird thing, right? Thank you, Latar.
Yeah.
But they call them motherships, and everyone's like, so what are you going to call super carriers when those drop?
Located here.
I don't know. It's just really weird.
We also don't know with these Navy issue battleships if we are going to have to take a E10 Mega Striker and use that as part of the component to building a Megatron Navy issue. I actually think that would be a good way to do it.
It wouldn't be terrible. I mean, it's a nice idea. I just kind of wonder. It's almost like a walk back on what the strikers could have, and maybe some might argue should have been, but now they're just fixing it by doing it with a new version of ships that they're putting into the game.
See, I don't see it as a walk back. I don't see it as a too much of a negative thing. I think it's interesting. Maybe they will outperform strikers for the people who want to sit in high-sec islands. Maybe they won't. Maybe they will if this special mode that sounds like they're getting does enough burst damage. I do really see these Navy issues and the fleet issue for the Mimitar fans out there. See them as more PvP modes, and I am here for it. I will be getting
I vindicate that for you. I really do. I hope that it's great, and I hope it works out, because it was kind of the same thing that I was hoping for the strikers when they came out. Of course, everyone was looking for the application of what we could do with strikers. It at the end of the day, it did become something of a disappointment, not because it had to be, but rather just because of the limited use of what a striker could be. And the Raven, which could have been a good potential striker, just it failed miserably.
I'd argue realistically the only striker that's ever really been a letdown has been the Raven.
Yeah.
But in reality, the Raven Striker is still an incredible ship at anti-cap and anti-structure. So I would say it almost isn't a letdown, because that's what the Strikers were designed for. They're designed to kill things bigger than themselves. Yes, you can fit Strikers to deal with smaller ships, but then you don't deal with the larger ships just as well. So it's one of those trade-offs in the way they're fit. And realistically, I would say the Strikers are a great ship, a great all-round ship if you fit them right or utilize them in the correct manners.
Yeah, great.
The Navy issues,
APOCs. I had plenty of them. You remember that? I yeeted a few.
The APOC Striker is the king of ratting because of the focus crystal implant. Yes, it was doing okay before with like beams and sniping fit. Like the focus crystal implant. I mean, I know people who are outperforming carrier pilots with an APOC Striker.
Oh, wow.
But that's because they've got a high level implant. It's not because it's an APOC Striker.
Killer.
Oh, wow.
Let's move on from these Navy issue battleships a little bit. So I'm actually rather excited for these 4 cruisers. I think they could really shake up some of the cruiser meta that we have been seeing. And plan on, I think, getting one of each at some point because they look awesome. But let's start then. We've got, with a quick overview, we've got 2 Cove Ops cruisers, which are faction, 1 heavy interdictor, and 1 sort of heavy assault ship. So we'll start with a Chameleon. In all and all, it is effectively a covert ops Gila that can light Sinos.
Wow.
So it's reasonably adaptable. Do I think it's a great Sino boat? No. You want your Sino ship to be cheap, because 9 times out of 10, if you're hot dropping, it's going to die. But
yeah,
it's still a nice piece of tech in the arsenal, maybe for some of the smaller well-funded groups in the game. Red Sea, I'm looking at you guys. And then it's also saying that the cruiser's fire control system's been enhanced with a improved weapon range. So is that going to be an activatable mode? I don't know. But I mean, long range, tanky covert ops. This thing could be nasty as a solo hunter. Moving on, we've got the Fiend. This is a Phantasm heavy interdictor, to sort of sum it up. So you've got a ship that's as fast as a Phantasm, can now bubble. Maybe the Rupture interdictor has lost its place as the fastest hick in the game.
Oh, you think that guy in that Q&A was salty because he had problems with interdictors before? Wait until he meets one of these things.
Yep. Again, the other thing on this is that it can. Again, we don't know if it's passive, so we don't know if it's an activatable mode or if it's just into the ship's stats. But it's basically lower DPS for higher shield resistances. So, don't know if that's going to be activatable, so you can activate for higher resistances and then deactivate to be able to put some DPS down, or if it's just going to be a lower DPS Phantasm that's also a Hictor. Next one, we've got the Adrestria, which is a heavy. I'd say it's like a heavy assault cruiser, but they call it a heavy firepower cruiser. Which is upgraded from a Vigilant. It's basically a tankier Vigilant. Keeping its web range. It's saying adding a bonus to warp disruptors, but the Vigilant already has a bonus to warp disruptor, so we'll have to see on Wednesday when this releases. But it says we've got upgraded damage control system, allowing it to divert firepower to enhance its speed of repair. Again, we're not sure if that is in its stats, it'll have lower DPS but a higher rep amount, or if it's going to be an activatable mode, like a mini siege, where you drop your DPS and are able to rep like mad. The Adestria is actually one of the ships I am really itching to get my hands on. I do love me a Vigilant, so...
Nice.
And final one is
about.
the Salos. Basically, this is a covert ops Cinnable. So, it's also saying here it's going to boast extensive EWAR and covert ops capabilities. So, it's going to be a Cinnable with EWAR bonuses, ability to fit covert ops cloaks, whilst keeping high speed and firepower, which is signature of the Angel Cartel. Then also, you've got, it's saying, incorporate an enhanced fire control system, greatly improves its firepower, delivery efficiency. I'd say that's a ridiculous bonus to tracking. Again, they're not sure if these are going to be activatable modes or if they're going to be baked into the ship stats. We're probably going to have to wait for the ships to release to know that for certain. To be completely honest, these are going to be vicious. Again, could be rather good in a degree for industry, because from the way they read, it seems like they're going to require like a Gila hull, a Cinnable hull, a Phantasm hull, a Vigilant hull to actually build. So you're going to have to build a Vigilant to build an Adestria. You're going to have to build a Healer to build a Chameleon, which would be awesome.
Yeah.
But I think these cruisers are absolutely fantastic.
Yeah, the question is, are these things going to be considered lines of these ships? I mean, is the Soleus going to be considered in the Cinnable line where, you know, a Cinnable Nanocore could fit on that too, or are you going to have to get a new Nanocore?
I think they are going to require new Nanocores. And the only reason I say that is because it's not Cinnable Covops, it's not Phantasm Interdictor, it's the Fiend and the Salos and the Adestria and the Chameleon. So, yeah, my fancy gold Nanocore for my Gila can't go on a Chameleon, unfortunately.
Well, I mean, we hope, but I mean, in EO, aren't the upgraded versions of ships, don't they have different names? Or it's called?
I mean, all of them have different names. Yes. I mean,
yeah, right.
so
we can hope, right?
I mean,
at least until Wednesday. Maybe I can have a few days of hope.
I believe you with that hope.
Days of hope.
Good luck on that one. I mean, but I don't want to be the person to completely dash your hope. But just so you know, if you buy a skin for a Heron in EVE Online, it is not going to work for a Buzzard.
Well, I tell you what, I have so many of these unopened boxes lying around for like faction cruisers and things like that. maybe I'll wake up Wednesday and poof, it'll be in those boxes.
Yeah, maybe, absolutely.
This is the second
Realistically,
hope. This is why I'm going to be filled with hope until Wednesday. I'm going to have multiple things I'm hoping for, and then as Nettie dashes all of my hopes, I would just spend Wednesday crying in a little ball.
I don't even give them the satisfaction of dashing my hopes anymore. I don't appreciate it.
know, right?
I'm personally really excited for these 8 new ships. I mean, the carrier is something I'll look at, but I'll probably just look at it. But the battleships and the cruisers are really interesting to me. And I cannot wait to do some brewing and see what we can do small gang with some of these juicy ships.
Yes, and I'm sure these things will be used in all kinds of warfare exercises as well, which brings us, we probably should get to the state of the war here soon, but we probably should have a little bit of music to ease us in.
This is your Eve Echo State of the War report.
Welcome back to the State of War, brought to you by Echoes.mobibot. It's still the best killbot you're actually ever going to find for this game. Alright, well, we do have some interesting things going on that have occurred since the mysterious metamorphosis of the crabs into hippopotami. I think that is the correct plural for hippos, hippopotami. I believe that's.
I don't remember. I don't know. I really don't know.
I really don't know either. I never expected to have to learn anything about hippos. It's never been a thing in any kind of mascot in this game. So.
Hippopotami.
Hippopotami. All I know is that they're really good at shitting all over shit.
Oh,
they're good at shitting all over stuff.
Really showed us earlier, and I'm still
that was disappointing.
By that, but I'm still traumatized with that wise. Thank you very much. But anyway, the fact of the matter being that we've had an interesting development. Now, of course, there's been some goings on of the hippos gathering together for defenses and whatnot, and a few citadels here and there being hit, but it's come across my desk that actually Silent has declared itself the largest pirate organization in the game and just plans to burn everybody. Their enemies, their old friends, just anybody that didn't stand with them against the evil crabs, anybody. It's absolutely crazy. They're just like, they've gone full tilt and decided to burn everything. It's absolutely crazy.
So, does that mean they have surrendered?
Well, if they're the largest pirate organization, then they're obviously not still waging war. They're just committing piracy. So the war must be over for them, right? That means that they must be acknowledging that the war is over, and they're moving to just Reaper mode, so to speak. If you're a Firefly fan, you understand Reapers. Yeah. I guess that's what they're kind of going for. They're just going to burn everybody. They're going to burn, obviously the hippos. They're going to burn people who didn't join them. They're going to burn everybody.
I mean, like, oh gosh. I mean, I get.
It's straight from them. Straight from the mouth of Michael J.
Oh my God.
himself.
Oh wow.
Everybody knows.
Wow.
He speaks. Whenever he says Silent's going to smash somebody, obviously in the history of the game, it's been smashed. So if he's making a declaration that they are the largest pirate organization in the game now, and they're going to burn everyone, no blues, no deals, no nothing, even to people who had worked with Silent in the past, and could be potential allies. No, they're just going to burn everybody because they didn't stand with them against the evil crabs.
So what does that mean for their contracts with their, with their mercenaries? Because Razzle Dazzle wasn't just silent alliance members. It was also made up of, if I'm not mistaken, EQ and some of the other organizations in there. I think the Trailer Park Boys or something like that. There were a lot of people that made up that organization. It wasn't just.
Yes, and now.
Yeah.
Well, but you see, they're continuing to operate as Razzle Dazzle, though. So
that doesn't make sense. I'm confused.
I'm guessing Razzle Dazzle was actually the largest pirate organization. He didn't specifically say that Silent is the largest pirate organization. He said we're the largest pirate organization.
I mean,
and since they're still a part of Razzle Dazzle, that must mean Razzle Dazzle is the largest pirate organization.
I don't know how well. I mean, I could see EQ not giving a shit about Saab because always they look at Saab as kind of being, it was an end to a mean or a means to an end. But with some of these other organizations like Red Sea, who have traditionally always been allies of Silent, I mean, they have openly. I mean, they're crabs, right? They say that they're crabs.
They're part of Razzle Dazzle, though, so you've got to figure that they're included as now pirates. And since I have it on pretty good authority that the hippos are just going to crap all over any of them trying to lay down Saab.
Yeah, that's
that pretty much does it in for their ability to actually have Saab.
Which means they can't crab. I mean, they can't. Gosh.
Well, I mean, they can high-sec crab.
They can high-sec crab, yeah, of course.
There's been a large degree of sighting of a lot of Silent personnel and whatnot in the high-sec islands. So,
wow.
I mean, they are still making it. And while it's not as lucrative as nullsec, at least they're making something. So they're still hanging in there. They're still pushing. And if you couple that with the rewards of piracy, which anybody in the channel who's ever been a pirate knows that can be lucrative. Who knows?
Well, I mean, at this point, they have shed pretty much their Care Bears, so if they want to do something like that, it's completely, it's on the table, right? I mean, it's not like anyone's left who's going to complain about pirating. A lot of them probably wanted that anyway. Especially the guys in like Bot 5, they definitely probably wanted that.
But you got to ask yourself: are they going to be shooting their former Care Bears now? If they're burning everybody who's not with them now, and the Care Bears have left, they've shed them and gone on to other organizations that they now plan on burning the ground, they're going to be shooting their former friends.
Well, there's that. Plus, is Pay to Win going to just basically, continue to bankroll them? I guess just shooting stuff, and that's pretty much it, right? Like, maybe I would say maybe he might, since it would fall into the I guess revenge angle that was a part. It was always a part of the plan. We all knew that if Silent won, it was going to be, that was what they were going to do. But it's just really weird because they have made a lot of declarations over the course of the past, what's it been? 5 months or so? First, the declaration was that they were going to burn all their Saab and then move into Delve. And clearly that has not worked out the way that they planned for it to work out. I'm not saying it won't work out, but they tried to get a foothold in period basis. That didn't really work out the way that they had planned. Lost all those citadels, tried to put something in Delve, lost that. Lays down some passes, if I'm not mistaken. I think they might still, do they still have passes in Delve, or were those all destroyed as well?
I believe all silent structures have been cleared out of Delve. Correct me if I'm wrong.
So,
are there any more silent structures in the pasture road?
There's some silent. There were some silent passes in the pasture, and they recently just tried to defend those passes with a bunch of nightmares, and we killed all those nightmares, and all the passes. So, yeah.
I think that was the last of them, though, right? So
that was the last of it. There's no more silent passes or anything like that we know of in Delve.
I assume y'all are doing some serious scanning, because I assume you want the pasture to be free of
Oh yeah,
silent structures. So,
yeah,
but
definitely.
there is the other side of the coin. Let me play devil's advocate here a little bit. The war is over now, and obviously, Silent's been shedding people and things like that, and obviously, hippos have said they're not allowed to have Saab or they're going to smash it. Now, is the fact that they've gone pirate and decided to burn everything a result of the fact that they have no out? They have no way to go forward and no way to come back from the war and go somewhere and play together.
I
and stuff?
mean, not without
is that a
surrendering.
possibility?
Not without surrendering to crab coal, which is something that I'll be honest, I can't see Silent surrendering, like actually saying that they lost anything. I can't see it happen, So at this point, it's either migrate your community somewhere else and basically just say you never lost the war or anything, or basically just say that you've gone pirate, which I'll be honest, it's kind of sort of still the same thing, right? Like you're saying that you've gone nomad, because but it's like you've gone nomad because you don't have a choice but to go nomad. Like it's one thing when you
Yeah.
like when you go nomad and you had a choice to go nomad, then you can go, well, I mean, we went nomad, but it was our choice. It's what we wanted to do. We blew up all our SOF because we have something else planned. And I think that most organizations in New Eden respect when you go, well, it's fine. You're in your right to do whatever you want. And if you blow it up, you get some cool points, I think. But when you were forced into that life, you know what I mean? And I think that as sad as it is to say it, they didn't make the choice to go into that life. If they didn't blow up their structures, eventually the crabs would have blown it up. They were losing structures week after week after week. They blew up their own structures, and I get why they did it. I would have done the same damn thing. But everything that Silent has basically done, it has literally been their hands being forced, which isn't a good optics. That's not good for optics. You know what I mean? I'm not trying to be a bitch, I mean, but that's not good for optics. You can say, well, we've gone pirate organization, but you did that because there's no way you can drop a SOV under your name and it actually live.
Yeah. But I mean, there are those in Silent who point to the fact that the hippos have made such a declaration that the hippos have actually become a little bit hypocritical, because that was one of the things that the hippos said that everybody had to unite together, and why Silent had to be taken out, because that's what they would do. That's what they would do. They would make declarations. You can have Saab, you can't have Saab, but if you try, we're just going to come smash you.
Pretty much. I mean, it's
so. I mean, I don't know if that's been something that people have considered. I mean, yes, Silent hasn't surrendered. There's been no formal surrender. But generally speaking, whenever you're talking about formal surrender, you're like, yeah, you're so that you can keep your space. Like at the end of the Pantheon War, Silent taxed the people to be able to keep their Saab and stuff like that. Silent has none of that. What assets does Silent have to even declare anything about? They're now nomads.
I mean, being nomad can be really good, though. Being nomad does have it presents a lot of really cool opportunities. It's just that at this point they were forced into nomads, and they're going to stay nomad.
Right.
I mean, think about it. If you're a Silent community member right now, you're coming to the terms that as long as you have that banner, you're never going to own SOF until you either leave that organization or that organization formally surrenders. Like that's what it looks like. That's fucking bad optics.
Yeah. Exactly. That very much so. But at what point is this going to be over? Because now you've got a group that can't actually continue to play the game. They're not allowed by another large group. And so they've decided to just burn everyone and burn the game to the ground.
I mean,
because they can't play it.
They can certainly try to do that. What is included in burning the game to the ground, right? Like what's included in that package? Well, it means that you're going to go out, you're going to basically oust everyone out of their homes. You're going to burn. Basically, you're going to go to TSC. You're going to burn them. Then you're going to go to to Trimark, and you're going to burn them. You literally have to. But what do you do when you can't burn anyone because there's a defensive pack on the table? You try to attack any of us, and you're going to get crushed. I mean, when was the last time they blew up a structure? Sure, they're blowing up ships, but ships blow up all the time. I mean, what's the difference between a ship blowing up because Burr blew it up and a ship blowing up because Silent blew it up? I mean, if you're going to lose a carrier, you're going to lose a carrier regardless. It's, you know what I mean? I'm not saying that ships die in nullsec. It's just the way that it works. Ships die in nullsec all the time, and if a ratting carrier or a ratting dread or some other ship dies in nullsec, whether Silent killed it or someone else killed it, nobody's gonna blink. They're gonna write it off. That pilot's gonna get a new ship. His corp members are probably going to his corp mates will either help him get a new ship or something. If it's a capital ship, he'll probably just replace the capital ship and be a little bit smarter and a little bit wiser with the next ship that he gets, or her. That's just the nature. That's the life cycle of ships in Eve. And if it's something that's a subcap or whatever, it's gonna be insuranced. As far as structures, good luck blowing up those structures. I mean, you've tried that. It's not really working. So I'm not trying to play devil's advocate for the Crabco, but how do you burn everything and everyone when there's a defensive pack specifically targeting you? I don't know how they're going to do that. It sounds good, but damn.
Well, if you think about it, what is the most expensive assets in this game? It's not necessarily structures anymore.
No, of course, it's the caps.
It's capital ships.
It's caps.
Capital ships and things like that. And I've seen some faction battleships that are very expensively rigged out that start pushing capital prices even. I mean, there is some crazy stuff, valuable stuff that can be taken. And let's be clear, Silent is absolutely hitting. Razzle Dazzle is absolutely hitting the hit.
100. They are. But like I said, I mean, ships are going to die anyway, right? I mean, consider Tama, one of the greatest hunters who ever played this game. Tama would spend hours, literally hours, out there scouting, tackling, doing all kinds of different things. And that's how he refined his skills, and that's how he became one of the best tackle pilots in the entire game. And it did not matter who a capital ship belonged to. The guy had more capital kills under his belt than any other tackle pilot that I knew. He just, because he knew how to track a potential target. He knew when his targets were going to be playing the game. He knew when they were active. He knew how to tackle them, and he knew how to direct his fleet to actually get them at the end of the day. And so, I mean, a capital ship is it's just no matter who kills it, it's the same story. I mean, whether Tama tackles your capital ship and kills it, or whether, Master Yoda tackles your capital ship and kills it, it still results in a dead capital ship. Silent is not the only organization who would camp a system camp, you know what I mean? Set up traps to harass someone in their own system. Lots of organizations do that shit. I mean, Bot 5 just happens to be really good at it.
We did it. No.
Yeah,
like Dead I think did a 10-day gate. It was like a 10-day camp for a share in Gem.
Yeah. The point that I'm trying to make is you're going to blow up the capital ships. But the fact is, anyone could blow up the capital ships. I mean, you can camp the space, but you don't need to be in a state of war to be camping someone's space. You can just do it. I just wonder how that's going to go. You know what I mean? Because what they are talking about, going pirate, going nomad, it's a very good thing. It's a lifestyle. And if you like that kind of gameplay, it's absolutely fantastic for you. No matter how you landed in that circumstance, it's great. It's fucking great if you like it. But you also wonder, okay, so now that you are in this nomadic state, what is your definition of burning everyone and everything? Are you going to put enough pressure on these groups, individually and collectively, that they simply cannot enjoy the game And how are you going to do that? Is it going to fatigue them more than it fatigues you? I mean, I mean, there's a lot of how that's going to play out because I mean, a lot of the people who do lead silent, they don't really play the game as actively as they used to. Michael JD is actually an EO player now. He doesn't. He's a wartime leader. He comes in when Silent needs him, but for the most part, he's an EO player. Pay to Win has openly said that while he supports his organization and he always will, and by God, he's backed it up. He's done that. He doesn't play the game. You know what I mean? A lot of these people don't play the game. Now, of course, you have those like Master Yoda who does in fact play the game. You know what I mean? Mattarella who does in fact play the game, but a lot of silent leadership who are pushing for this, they're talking about nomad, but are they going to do the nomad thing with their people, or are they simply pushing their people into the nomad lifestyle and saying, well, you guys, we're going nomad. We're going nomad. I mean, okay, cool. Are you going to be there to hold up our banner while we're nomading? You know what I mean? It's one thing to say we're going to do this, but it's another thing to actually be there day in and day out. And this is your sole game, your primary source of entertainment. You log in and this is what you're doing. It's just my job. When I log into this game, I'm gonna burn everything, and if you're happy doing that, then you will happily play this game and you can be a nomad, and it's great. It's effing great. Sorry, isn't that what you guys are planning on doing? I mean, that lifestyle is fantastic if that's the lifestyle you want, but if it's not what your whole community wants, it's gonna turn into a mess.
The thing is,
the thing is, though, I mean, go ahead.
What my group are doing, and we're a 12-man corp, so it's a lot more sustainable for us. We'll be setting down routes periodically, but just literally with the sole intention of just smacking out a bunch of ISK and then pulling up our routes and then just going back out and causing trouble. Like, we're not at the scale of Silent. Like, we're not, a couple thousand pilots? We're 12 pilots. So,
I mean, to be fair, Silent isn't as large as they used to be, either. To be completely fair about them, they do have a good number of people, but they're not as big as they were when this war first started. They did lose some members, just like Crapco lost some members, and you gotta imagine that with this announcement that, okay, well, we're going to be the biggest pirate organization in New Eden, you have your pilots who are super happy about that. I can imagine a bunch of Bot 5 guys that are probably, throwing confetti at that idea, because they were practically nomads anyway. They didn't live in their own space regardless. They didn't give a shit. So you have some guys that are really going to be super excited about how that's working out. And then you have the ones who are going to say that they're excited right now, and then within a couple of months or whatever, they're going to be tired because maybe this is not, this is literally life. This is no longer the state of active war. This is now your reality and what it's going to be for as long as you play this game and fly under this banner. And I mean, looking back on how things went in Burr, everyone was excited when Burr opened its doors and we're collecting corporation and collecting members and shit. It was, it was fantastic, right? And over time, Mel will tell you, there was a number of people who were supposed to be PvPers, corporations who joined Burr with the intention of, this is a PvP alliance. It's driven by PvP. Everything we do is driven by PvP. There were eventually those people that pretty much just like, we realized that these guys don't want a PvP. They said that in the early going, and this is the life that they wanted in the early going, but within a few months, it was out the door. You know what I mean? We had people that were just like crabbing while we were like CTing, and I'm pretty sure that Mel hired No to kill a few of them, but you see how the mindset shifts when you're in an active state of war. You're in a mindset where this is our current reality because we're in an active state of war. But what happens when this is no longer an active state of war? This is your everyday life and what it is going to be from here until forevermore, I guess. Like, That's a different
Yeah.
two different mindsets, right? It's you go and you
Well,
join a
the thing about it
corporation
is,
with the mindset of doing that. You know that this is my reality, but a lot of these guys were pulled into that reality. I don't know if they're all going to be, settled to being in that. Like I just don't know how many of
well,
them are going to sustain it long term.
well, the thing about it is they're being very, very effective right now at killing. I mean, in the last month, Razzle Dazzle actually killed 24 CC capitals. No, that's just 24 this week.
That's impressive.
800, 880 billion in ISK damages, which, of course, they translated to CC in their announcement. That's 178 citadels blown up in the last week in net ISK damages. So that's just in capitals. That's not including all the subcaps they've slaughtered in the process as well.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that is they're being very effective at what they're doing right now.
Absolutely, they are being very effective at what they're doing right now, and I
And
think
of
that
course,
if
you, you,
you're
now that they've become hippos, though, now that they've become hippos, it's become more complicated for the hippos because now not only are they getting hit by Razzle Dazzle, but some of their own are hitting each other. Like recently, you had AOA actually do a log off trap, a huge log off trap in void space that actually killed a Rorqual.
jeez, oh man,
And this wasn't just they happened upon it roaming. No, they studied it. They logged off in the system. They after slowly moving people in, it was a very meticulous operation that they performed on Void. Now,
wow.
that corporation that lost that Rorqual, how do you think they are going to feel whenever they are asked to go and defend an AOA structure from Razzle Dazzle, perhaps? Do you think they're going to be very much motivated, or do you think they're going to remember the meticulous way that the people who they have a defense pact with
I think that they would be
eliminated a
motivated from the
major
fact.
asset of theirs?
I think they'll be more motivated in the way that if they don't go, when they come under fire by Silent, AOA is going to neglect to show up. I think that's more than
I don't
enough of
think
a
that.
motivating factor.
Well, I don't think that they feel that they need AOA. I mean, with Silent's depleted numbers, just
Yeah, they can try that, I guess, if they want to.
Void, OG, Burr, TSC, and Meow, and all them, put them together, that's probably enough. Why do you need AOA anymore, especially whenever AOA is actually meticulously picking you apart and removing valuable assets from you? It's not like they were just doing a roam. That was surgical.
Let
That
me
was
let me
purposeful. They knew that Rourke was there. That was their target. That's what they wanted to kill.
I would look at it from a strategic standpoint. Void does have some really good PvP pilots, but they're not as committed to it as AOA are. It's
I wouldn't say that.
just what it
Void
is.
has put together some very interesting strike groups and things like that. They've got some interesting doctrines going on. They've got a very nice setup over there in the east.
Well, I look forward to seeing how that plays out for them because at the moment I would not be just because Silent is is doing the nomad thing and you think that it's going to be significant. I would never say that any fight against Silent is an easy one. I just wouldn't. I wouldn't say that it's easy because they have lower numbers. They have lower numbers, yes, but that doesn't mean you should pretend like oh, they're not the threat that they are. They very much are. So I mean, if they want to make that call, then I think that it's a call that they can make. But all the leaders made the call that they should basically just be neutral until it's time to defend structures. So. And much of that was largely due to the fact that they did not want to sit there and not have content like what they're doing. I mean, when you think about it, a large amount of silent strategy went out the door when the galaxy went back to being neutral. The goal was to continue to press and to make sure that Crab Co. basically had to stay neutral forever. When they decided that they were not going to stay neutral forever, or stay glued to one another forever, they were going to carry on and do business as usual. Now it's kind of like, okay, so these guys are going to shoot each other unless we're tagging their structures and shit. So, I mean, okay, well, life has just moved on. Life moved on for everyone except for Silent at that point. And so I get what you're saying. From a strategic standpoint, from a leadership standpoint, I see why they did it. It makes sense. They wanted to keep that stalemate going, and well, as long as these guys are blue, their pilots are going to get restless. They don't have anything to shoot. We can control when they have content and when they don't. When Crabco decided to do what they did, that literally took a lot of power out of Silent's hands, where they could no longer control what content these people could have and couldn't have, and when they could have the content, they don't have that control anymore. So what do you do in that circumstance? What do you do when you can't control the content anymore? Well, I mean, you're going to have hit squads, but as just was mentioned, AOA has hit squads too. Void has hit squads. I mean, they could go into burst space and blow up something, and it's going to be, well, it was a well-orchestrated plan. We lost a ship. Get over it. At least that's the Burn mentality, right? We lost a ship. Get over it. Now, not everyone has that mentality. Like I said, it'll be kind of interesting to see how this whole thing does, in fact, work out and play out for them. But aside from that, I mean, I wish them the best of luck, because this is not an ideal circumstance for anyone. Yes, it's very true that there's going to be tension now that the hippos have basically gone all gray and stuff like that. They're not blue. They're not crabbing together and stuff. But at the same time, this is not easy for Silent anyway, or either. And I think that much of what Michael J.D. may or may not have said, he said it. I mean, we see it on screenshot, right? That statement is made from a person who realizes that they're in a spot where they don't have the control that they want to have in the situation that they're currently in. Your back is against the wall. You can't control the content of the players and use that to make them quit the game. You can't you can't necessarily go and shoot their citadels and remove them from their space, because there's going to be a larger group out there to protect it than you can take. And so now you're being pushed into this nomad life that maybe you want this nomad life. Maybe Silent really does want this nomad life. But I mean, we have seen in their Discord that some of their pilots are complaining that they're tired of station-only content. This is not easy on them either. I'm not saying that it's not bad for Crabco, but it's not an ideal situation for anybody. They're all in a fucked up situation. So, it's at this point, it's like, whose gameplay experience is worse? It's not that one person has a better gameplay experience than the other. It's kind of like, well, my gameplay experience is slightly less bad than yours is, so.
Your music, your voice, and your weekly update on all things Eve. From Fountain to Solitude with Starship near you, this is Eve Talk on New Eden FM.
Welcome back to Eve Talk. We're here with Mortal's Rage, the CEO of the Dead Corporation, an executor of the DTF Alliance, Dead Terran Federation. How you doing, Immortals?
Grady Landrio.
Good
Fantastic, actually.
Yeah? Well, that's good. Good. Now, my understanding is that, after Dead won the kill event, structure kill event back in February, and got first place, it still hasn't received its prizes, and NetEase is just like giving you absolutely the runaround. Is that right?
Oh, 100%. And if anyone has any doubts about it, I mean, I got the screenshots up in the studio chat right now. I won't mind posting them in over here. Me having the conversation with Carrie, and I had a few conversations with Arrow, and still after, what was it? I think it was a second structured destruction event. We won the first one. We placed number 5. The second one we won. This third one I think we're in 7th place, 8th place, maybe 9th. I have to check again. But yeah, I mean, all this hard work and dedication from these dead pilots, we're not feeling appreciated, so we're just kind of moving on.
Yeah, I remember that effort for that first place effort. Everybody was coming together, hunting for structures to kill, finding anything that could get points off of. It was a very much a collective effort, and NetEase has done nothing but give you the runaround. Because I've seen those screenshots, and I have to say they're rather dismissive. I mean, I have to wonder what is the point in holding contests to try and encourage the player base to actually play and compete and play the game. You're just going to not bother to honor the prizes whenever they win something. I mean, what good is an event that you don't actually ever get the rewards?
Exactly, right? So it's like putting out all this content, and their biggest excuse, as from what you can kind of see in the images here, is oh the team's been working on new content and all this other stuff, and I'm like, well, you're putting out all this content, yet the players who have been slaving to win these events against thousands of corporations in this galaxy aren't being rewarded for the time they put into the game, even the money that they put into the game. Still, we're just absolutely disappointed with it. It's just we're getting the runaround. It's like all this content being put out, but you're not gonna have the pilots to fly all that new content that you're putting out. So I guess in a result, I could see NetEase putting out more pay to win activities. So I can definitely see that in the future for at least Eve Echoes.
Yeah, and I mean the Inscription of the Galaxy contests. Those were supposed to be in-game content that NetEase was providing to the players so that they could compete and earn prizes, and that's if you have that kind of agreement with the players, you present something to them and say, do this and we will give you this. If they do it and you don't give them that, well then what's the point in participating in further contests for that group of players,
Yeah, exactly. So it's just pretty sad the way NetEase has been treating us, especially. So what I can say is that for like just for them doing this, it pretty much put Dead in a bad place to where there isn't much of Dead left. To be honest, sad, but
Yeah.
I mean we're still hanging in there little by little. It's just it's kind of hard when you have the FCs that work so hard, put in countless hours, countless pings and countless money to win this event and not be rewarded for it. So it's very discouraging to see game devs want to put more content out instead of reward the actual player base. So it's like, who do they really care about? Do they really care about the players that are playing, or do they care about profiting off of everyone that's throwing money at the game, thinking it's gonna change their lives in the real world? Like, doesn't make any sense to me, but yeah.
So yeah, it is very disheartening, and I actually reached out to Curry myself, and told him that I was going to be covering this today, that this was going to be something that we covered today, and asked if NetEase had any kind of statement about why this was happening, and I got cricket. I got no response whatsoever. So I don't know that NetEase really does care about anything but the money that is coming in, and they're more concerned with putting out new events to try and capture money than the events they've already logged the money for. Because, obviously some people, spent some some money on swiping things, getting new ships for the event and stuff like that, so that they could perform and do the things that they wanted to do. People swiped and did stuff so that they could do the event. So NetEase has already got their money from the players who were expending monetary real-world resources to get things so that they could do the things they needed to perform in the Inscriptions Galaxy. Okay, so they already have that money. So they don't. I guess they don't care that they still haven't finished by giving out the rewards. They've moved on, and from reading over the screenshots, especially ones that you put in the sound of us, it just really looks like they're just, oh, sorry, we've moved on. We're working on other things right now. When, I mean, basically what all they've got to do is give out some nanocores and plug in a banner that you designed, from my understanding. Is that right?
Of course, yeah. I took the time out of my day to make this the banner itself. I think what they wanted was like a story and how we wanted it. Obviously, we wanted to be the villains because who doesn't want to be villainy?
Yeah.
And I mean, like it was more like just a plug and play thing, maybe into their code and maybe a little update for everybody to kind of see our banner. Maybe I don't know how it goes, but and then what is it? The nano cores and the metals, which the metal it was basically in the banner itself. So I pretty much did everything that they asked of me and submitted it in time and still nothing. So very disappointed.
Yeah, it is very disappointing, and it's very very difficult to want to move forward in that. And I don't know how NetEase plans on rectifying this, but I certainly hope that they rectify this soon, because I don't know how they expect players to continue to want to play this game if they're not going to bother to fulfill their obligations to them whenever they participate in these contests, events, and things like that.
Right. And that's why most of Dead, even all the Eve Echoes players that are discouraged just like us, we're all playing Tip 2 at the moment, the Infinite Black 2, and it's crazy because what is it? Mackenzie's been playing it recently, and but you asked for what title, and you got it within like the next 5 minutes from the one developer.
So the I guess the very fast sweet story on that is, yes, I joined the Infinite Black a couple of weeks ago when Rep and Alondri invited me, and I've been playing it slowly because real life work and things like that. And the devs actually, they do play the game. It's an independent project, but they do play the game. They interact with their community. I've been over there on their Discord. They talk to their people in the help chat and so on and so forth there. And one cool thing that they decided to do was, for the people who are playing the game right now during early access, they were going to give us custom titles. So they basically just said, listen, if you DM one of us, we will give you the title that you want in the game. Of course, provided that it's not anything offensive or anything stupid like that. But I literally DM'd them about a week later, because that announcement was made last week, and I think that at the time, Mithra, one of the game developers, was actually offline when I DM'd them on Discord after I got back from my gig last night, and I asked, "Hey, can I have the title Maestra as my tag in the game?" And he literally DM'd me first thing this morning and just said done. And when I logged on, it was done. And everyone was like, "Hey, look, you got your nickname in the game." So I mean, literally, that was a really refreshing experience. Of course, I did support the game. I don't play it as much as Immortals does or Alondria does because of my work life, but I play the game when I get around to playing the game, and I think that the project is worth supporting because of the people that are behind it. And it's a solo project, but when you have devs that actually do care, then it's a really special thing. And I I think that the reason why Tip 2 can be successful is really because it's an independent project and not like a corporate project. NetEase
Mm-hmm.
NetEase is, we have to remember the devs. I think that the devs actually genuinely do care about their product. When the game first came out, I remember the devs actually did check out various different content creator videos, and I think that they even checked out the show once or twice or something like that. So to be honest, they did look at their community and they did hear what the community was saying and stuff. But slowly things just started to change, and now we are where we are. Where I'm not sure if they don't play their own game because someone asked for something that was already in the game and they said, yeah, sure, we'll do it, not realizing that the thing that the person asked for, it's like, I mean, guys, it's already in the game. You know, what they're asking for is in the game. You could just make it a little bit easier to find in the game, but it's in the game. They don't even know what's in their own game. They basically push out content so fast that they don't even remember the content that they're pushing out. And I think that that's really bad, right? You get to a point where you're on a hamster wheel, you're trying to push out new content, and you do it so fast that you don't even realize what content you're putting in. You don't take a moment to take a step back to see what your player community is saying about the content that you put out. And eventually, you've lost touch with not only your own people but with your own product. And the devs, I feel that the players and the content creators, we know the game better than they do, because a lot of these questions that get asked by people who are maybe new or are ignorant or something like that of what's going on, if they had asked another player if something like that was in the game, one of us could have told them it's already in the game. Here's where you find it. It's already been implemented in the game in a way that's reasonable. You're not going to
Yeah.
get an answer from the devs that's knowledgeable about how the game works and stuff. Not anymore. Once upon a time, yes. In 2021, if you tried that, you would get something really in depth and something really inspiring that made you feel that someone cared. But I feel that it's not even them. It's just whatever corporate scrutiny they're under right now. They're not performing and they're not doing what they want to be doing. I do not
Well,
believe that this is a product that they are proud to call something they worked on.
yeah, I think that is just probably true. I mean, the thing about it is, and the reason why so many people from Eve Echoes are moving over to the Infinite Black 2 is because it's a game that is actually fun to play, free to play with an attentive developer team. There's no loot boxes. I mean, the monetization and the pay to win aspect of Eve Echoes gets worse with every passing update. It really does. And the player base understands this. Most
Right.
people don't want to have to spend hundreds and hundreds of dollars just to keep up and get something.
Well, I mean, there's that,
Most
and,
people
and
don't
like I
want to do
said,
that.
I mean, I've DM'd one of the developers. There's only two main devs, maybe a handful, maybe more than that, that work on the Infinite Black. And I DM'd one and got a response and got action within like less than 12 hours. You know what I mean? The time it took me to go take a nap or get some rest because I'd been at the club all night, come home, ask for the title, go to bed, and the next day it's there. You know what I mean? It's already been done.
Yeah.
And this is something that should have been done, like what Mortals is saying. I mean, they won that inscription in the galaxy. That was back in what, February, maybe January.
Yeah.
Um, so and they have a much, there's a larger development team, and you would think that someone could have at least, just put the nanocore in the game. I mean, the functionality has probably already been worked out. The image was provided by the corporation. You just have to put it into the code. And, that should have been something that probably should have been prioritized and handled within 2 weeks. But, I mean, they must be
Yeah.
under hellish stress from like Nettie's corporate team to do things, because when you can't even do that and get it out in a time sensitive manner, then you're done.
Well,
You're done.
well, I think the difference is the difference in the servers and the way NetEase approaches the servers. I think that the people who care about the game and are passionate about it have been moved over to the Chinese server, and we don't really have so much of a development team as an implementation team. They don't really play the game.
So
They
that's
don't
good.
really care
What's
about
the
the
game
game.
called you
Nothing to
guys are
tell you
playing?
about the game.
Sure,
Infinite
in
Black
the
2.
chat, yeah.
But yeah, I think that that is a real problem. I think that is a fundamental issue that NetEase refuses to address is the disparity in treatment of the international server, the original server, and the way that they treat the Chinese server. The information flows to the Chinese server. We get leaks and things like that, and then they have even told the content creators not to talk about things that they've told and announced to the Chinese side.
I'll be honest,
I
and,
mean,
and this is just
it's just
strict honesty. I've said it before, I will say it again, and I say it unapologetically. If they want to cater to their Chinese community to the point that no one else in the world matters to them, then stop taking American money. Stop taking, European money. Stop taking, the Russians' money. Stop taking money from anyone but the Chinese. If you don't care about anyone else but your Chinese community, then stop taking money from the rest of the world who are paying you to provide a good gameplay experience and probably paying you more than your Chinese player base are paying you. You don't want to serve both communities, then don't take their money. You know what I mean? If I don't like a club owner or if I don't like what a club stands for and I don't want to go there, I just don't go. I don't go and I don't take their money. It's that simple. I can need the work. I don't care. If I don't believe in what they stand for or whatever, I just don't go. Nice and simple. So easy. But that's just me. And when it comes down to it, I guess people are going to do what they want to. And if you think that what NetEase is doing is worth your money, I say keep paying them. It's fine. But if you're not happy with how they're handling things, which I don't think anyone should be at this point, I think it's time to basically, let it turn into the ghost town that they have adamantly been pushing it towards for the past year and something. Because it's one thing if you're not going to provide a good gameplay experience, but it's a completely different thing if you're not going to provide a good gameplay experience to only one part of your community. And enjoy hanging out and enjoy like the music and stuff like that. And we're happy to provide it to you. But,
yes.
we're also doing other things because we feel like at this point we're at a spot where they put us in a situation where we have to. It's not about whether you want to or not. You have to.
That's going to probably do it for us today for show.
Sounds good to
So
me. It has
I
been
have to
a
say
longer one.
it has been, but I am still contractually obligated as a hidden CEO of Meow to tell you to boop in local because although it's now Meow, it is still a local custom to boop in local. Okay, and we will see you again next week.
Indeed, we will. Homage to my new group because I'm officially a Reaper, along with Eladria and Immortal's Rage.